can that be negligence on the side of the authorities that manage this city?
The answer is yes. That is negligence on the part of the authority. Like I mentioned earlier on, there are 3 ingredients that that need to be proved for negligence to be found to be in existence. Now, among the 3, I'll first address the first issue. That is, there must be a duty of care owed by a defendant to the plaintiff. Maybe for purposes of definition, a plaintiff is the person who takes a case to court, and the defendant is the person who is being sued. So in this situation, the duty of care, okay, first of all urban authorities have a duty or have a mandate to ensure that the roads, the drainage systems, and anything that may be enjoyed by the people who reside in a specific area, that they are in good condition. The authority is supposed to cover the manholes to ensure that water which is flowing in those manholes is actually flowing and it is not being blocked. So that is first of all, that is the duty that the authority has to its people. Maybe to add more, for this duty of care to exist, there must be a relationship between the 2 people. So in this situation, the relationship is the authority is in place. People pay taxes, and these taxes, the money from the taxes is used to fix some of these facilities, maybe construct roads, the culverts, and things like that. So the urban authorities, like I said, they have to ensure that all these are in place. So where a person, while he's moving on the road and he falls into a trench, which trench ought to have been covered by, the urban authority, a trench or anything, then the given authority is held liable for negligence.
You are saying CC has a legal right to sue Kampala Capital City Authority for the damages. Well, CC is dead. The family has the legal right to sue for that negligence. Not so?
I beg your pardon?
I was saying, well, Cisse died, but yes, has the family the legal right to, of course, seek legal redress and probably compensation for the loss of their loved one?
Yes. In the offense of negligence, the Evidence Act, first of all, requires places a burden of proof on the plaintiff to show that the respective person was negligent. So the family of the deceased, yes, it can sue for negligence. However, they have the right to show that actually the given authority did not discharge its duty of care to this particular person.
Incident.
So basically,
I have another incident of our roads that are narrow, that lack road signs to guide drivers, and are full of potholes. In case my vehicle breaks down because I fell into a pothole, can I sue KCCA or other authorities for the damages?
First of all, what Mr. Apollo, you need to have in mind is that at all times we must ensure that there is this duty and this person did not exercise that duty of care. So when there is when there is construction of roads taking place, the authorities, the respective city council authorities, urban councils, need to ensure that the construction of this road is done in such a way that it will not result into potholes. However, even us as the maybe the residents of the given city, we have a duty to ensure that we avoid some situations which will lead us into falling into such situations. For example, you'll find it is raining and you can see the roads are flooding. So you, as a reasonable person, you ought to foresee that if I walked on this road and, maybe it is raining, chance is I might fall inside the trench, inside everything. So you, as a driver, when you're driving, yes, the city council can be liable for negligence because they have made potholes, okay, they have not repaired the roads, and the drivers, their cars break the shock absorbers or anything. So as a driver, when you're driving on such a bumpy road, you equally need to be very careful of such potholes. That is called contributory negligence.
To bring in the aspect of foreseeable act or event, how important is that in the tort law?
I beg your pardon?
You brought in the aspect of the act being foreseeable, that it has to be foreseeable to be, to give the victim the legal right to seek legal redress. Is that so?
Yes, please.
I bring in another incident, Councillor Daniel. Okay, go right ahead, Daniel.
Maybe to shed more. Hello?
Go right ahead, Daniel. Go right ahead.
I was saying, I want to expound more on the issue of contributory negligence. Well, this issue of contributory negligence is based on a maxim called in pari delicto potier e conditia defendis, which is to the effect that where both parties are equally to blame, neither can hold the other liable. So you equally need to ensure that you do not fall a victim because of a certain thing. So you have to be very extra careful when you're moving on the road, when you're doing a certain act, because maybe there could be a pothole, maybe you have been walking through the same road all over and over again, and there's a pothole. So when it rains, you should avoid walking through that road.
All right, I hope that was French, and I cannot speak French. Let's look at another incident, Councillor Daniel.
that was actually Latin.
Oh yeah. Well, let's look at an incident actually that usually happens in health centers here in Uganda. I have a patient, I go to a health facility, public health facility, and I find doctors not on duty for their reasons. And the patient I have really need urgent attention. But because there is no one to attend to my patient, the patient dies. What happens in that case? Can I sue the facility? What happens according to the tort law?
It is very important to note that negligence is essentially a question of fact. And like you have pointed out, we started with city council authorities, and now we have gone to the medical field. Before I answer your question, I also need to point out that there is something called vicarious liability. Vicarious liability means that where somebody does an act, it binds another person. For example, an agent and a principal, an employer and an employee. So where somebody does something, you can find it binds a second party. So to your question, the answer is yes. In that, first of all, the health center has or owes a duty of care to you. And that duty of care is to ensure that they give you the best medical treatment there is available for you. So if you go to the health center and you don't find a doctor there, ordinarily this doctor ought to be at the duty of station. That is the first thing. Why isn't he at his duty of station? Then we'll go to the other thing. When he did a specific medical procedure, how did he do it? Did he do it to the best, of the skill that is available to him? So if all those answers, if all those questions are answered in the negative, then the doctor can be vicariously, the hospital can be vicariously liable for the actions of this specific doctor. Alternatively, you can equally sue this individual doctor for having failed to do a correct procedure on you.
Well, that's wonderful. But, counsel, if I may ask you, why don't we often see these cases in your courts of law? Why are people not suing entities, because these cases are happening every day? Why is it not happening?
Why are people not suing? Earlier on, there is something called a cause of action. So where a person, you'll find that one may not have a cause of action against the other, or the other person there was contributory negligence. So one has to look at the circumstances. Well, what happened? Can I prove the three elements? Was there a relationship between, say, the prospective plaintiff and maybe the defendant? In the event that there is no cause of action, basing on the three principles that I told you, the grounds, then one may not actually sue. There are other instances whereby people may be ignorant. They are not interested in taking up, in suing. Other people, maybe sometimes you find because of finances. So somebody gets worried or fears to take on a big corporation, because the corporation has the money. Maybe they will bully him into accepting certain circumstances. I'll give you an example. You can find somebody who's working in a factory, maybe at a road construction or anything, and this person is injured in the course of his employment, and maybe he attributes these injuries to the negligence of the company. Maybe they have not given him safety boots, they haven't given him gloves, they haven't given him many things. So because this person doesn't have enough money maybe to pursue the case, or is in dire need of finances, so he decides just to take on, whatever is being offered to him.
I need to ask Counsel Daniel whether he is convinced.
Sorry, I went off.
Well, I was saying, Counsel, you need to tell us, are you convinced the tort law, the law as it is sufficient enough, leave alone the issue of victims not suing just because maybe they fear this and that, and they are actually not ready to sue for their own reasons? Is the law sufficient? I mean, or are there any missing links you see, or the gaps you see in this law?
I beg your pardon on the question. Hello?
Yes, I was asking, my question is, from your point of view, is this tort law sufficient to cater for all, grievances to do with negligence on the side of authorities, or there is a missing link anywhere? Are you satisfied? Are you convinced the law is sufficient?
Yes, I'm convinced that the law is sufficient because it's a tort, and there are decided cases. People have sued, people have recovered damages. However, like I pointed out earlier, there are many reasons why certain people don't pursue their cases. But the law is there, it is sufficient, and these respective authorities or people very well know what duties they have to them.
Okay, Council, as we wind up, probably we've talked about, traffic incidents on roads. We've talked about incidents in health centers. Can you tell us briefly about the scope of this law, what it covers? Are there other areas it covers? Few of them, because of time.
The law of tort is quite wide, and negligence is part of it's just a branch. However, we have other torts like trespass, assault. Trespass, somebody enters onto your land without authority. That's equally trespass. Then assault, somebody beats you. It's also a tort.
Well, because I still have a minute,
maybe before we conclude
a bit.
Before we conclude, usually when a person sues or files a case in court, at the end of the trial, if the party is successful, the remedies that are available to this respective person include damages. They can compensate him. Where a person maybe has been injured and has gone to hospital. So the court can order the respective authority or the person who has carried out the tort on you to compensate you, put you back in a position where you are.
Finally, as a parting shot, we've seen compensations to life. A life has been lost, and well, court says you have to compensate the victim or the victim's family. From your own point of view, do you think this law is fair? Can anything compensate life? Is it fair?
I beg your pardon on that?
I was asking Councillor Daniel that in certain cases, we see either a court ruling that a victim should be compensated, but at times the victim is dead and the family is being compensated maybe in monetary terms. Do you think that law, this is fair? Is that fair?
Well, where there is loss of life, money cannot be enough, to compensate somebody really. However, this person could have left behind children and who are maybe of tender years. So this form of compensation helps them, in the form of paying school fees, among other things. So, well, it is 50-50.
Thank you so much, Daniel. Thank you for your time. We appreciate, of course, for that insightful discussion we've had with you. And let's hope that tort law will now be well understood and we'll see several cases and actually justice being served in terms, in these various cases where we've seen victims suffer damage and injuries and at time death. Thank you so much, Daniel, and I must thank our viewers. Limelight comes to you every Friday evening in the evening news. My name is Tsimapolo. Let's hope it's been a very, very insightful discussion we had. We'll meet again next Friday. Emisinji is coming up that means you don't need touch your dial.